what's up? It's Vinny Ten Racing. Here we are again at the end of the week. Last week was crazy. We were getting ready to test the car at Cecil. It had a 60% chance of rain. We were thinking of taking that chance, like I said, but we wound up breaking the shock. Thank God for Fields suspensions, because we overnighted the shock to them, and they fixed the shock for us right then and there and overnighted it back to us. We got it back in the car. It's actually going on the dyno in a few minutes. We're going to show you guys that at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. My guys worked so hard. You know, people don't realize why do so many businesses go out of business, you know, and in the racing business. And it's because you spend more time preparing for racing and going racing than you do on your customer stuff. And that's just something I won't allow ever to happen in my shop. So my guys and myself, we work a full day, and then we turn around from 6 to 10, 6 to 11, 6 to 9 every night, and we work on the car. And this is, you know, my whole team's exhausted, but we're exhausted by the time we get to the track. But I'm no different than any other race shop. What I am different is, and again, I'm going to blast them because it just annoys the shit out of me, are these cars and coffee people. It's like my guys have been working for months trying to get this car ready. You know, do their job, do their after work job, all by volunteer. They don't get paid any extra for doing it, not even a cent. If you want to do it, you do it. If you don't want to do it, it's fine. You can go home, spend time with your family. I have no problems with that. If you're passionate, you want to bring yourself to the next level, you want to see what real racing is about, you got to be part of it. And you can't just be part of it Sunday when you show up. You got to be part of it during the build and during the process, so we learn to work together even at a different level of racing. And what pisses me off is because I've been getting some emails from people saying, you know, you shouldn't really, you know, besmirch the car show people, and you shouldn't really, you know, get down on the cars and coffee people. Well, let me just tell you, okay, I don't besmirch the car show people. But like the fucking cars and coffee fucking people, like what do you got to do to prepare? Wash your fucking car? Get up early? That's it? You got to go out and spend yourself a fucking really expensive car, and then what do? Oh, I want to go show my car off. You're not driving the car. You're not racing the car. I mean, you shouldn't really be cleaning your car, getting ready for cars and coffee with an exotic car or a super nice car or a high dollar car or even just, you know, a high dollar, you know, Japanese car. Why don't you, instead of doing that, why don't you go to a track? Why don't you try remotely trying to get prepped and go to a track? And why? Because you know it's too effing hard. You know you will not make it. So it's much easier plopping down your 150, 200 grand, 300 grand for your fucking beautiful exotic car. You don't even wash it. You have somebody come in and detail your car, and what you do is you get in that car and you drive it to a nice car show, and basically it's a fucking dick fest. That's all it is. It's who's got the big D. Who's got the big D? That's it. That's all it is. And it's nothing more than that. Oh, look at that car. Oh, it's a Lamborghini Murcielago. Oh, a nice car. What's it doing in a fucking parking lot? It should be on a racetrack. That's where that car should be. Oh, I got a 911 Turbo. And you're sitting in a parking lot on a Sunday morning? Are you serious? I'd be at Lime Rock. I'd be at Taylor the Dragon. I'd be at Jersey Motorsports Park. There's no way I'm sitting with a bunch of fucking whatever talking about cars, coffee, and politics when I could be out racing. So it's not the car show people, it's just these people that just piss me off that they can buy their way into anything, get whatever the fuck they want, and think they're actually doing something for the community because they're holding a cars and coffee. Fuck out of here with that. Just forget about that. Anyway, what's going on in my shop? Obviously, earlier in the week, you heard me talk about that engine that came back, that didn't even start. Thank God it didn't start. It's actually this one. So we got this all broken down for the customer, did it right in front of them, took about 45 minutes to an hour, broke it all down, put it in a pile. This thing has to go completely disassembled. It's completely contaminated. And that kind of offshot my week a little bit. I got a little behind on this one, this VQ, which I desperately need to finish up. And at the same time, we finished those heads. We got some of our parts in. Of course, Carrillo, CP, Ferreira, that's my bread and butter. These are the companies I've been working with for literally 40 years. These people, I know them by their first name. I know some of their families. Just great, great people over at Ferrera, great people at Carrillo, unbelievable people at CP. You know, we have Chris Brown over at ARP. We got Killer Bee stuff. This particular setup is going to be for our autocross engine. So we make a couple of autocross engines for the Subaru. And basically my goal with those motors was always to make a little bit more torque than horsepower. So we've always kind of done 400. We stepped it up a little bit, 430, 440 to 440 torque. But this one, we're going to look for a little bit more horsepower and a little bit more torque. So our goal is like 500 horsepower with about 500 foot-pounds of torque. It's a new combination. I don't know if we're going to get it, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get pretty close to that. So that's on the plate. This needs to be finished up. We need to go racing. That needs to be cleaned up. Busy, which is the way I like it. You know, I like it busy. We try to keep the shop, you know, clean as much as we can, but we're always hustling here. And it's difficult sometimes because sometimes I literally need to close that door for 6 or 7 hours and just focus. And I think a lot of next week will be that. Last couple of weeks we've had, you know, a lot of people needing help. The Subaru guide, that kind of set us back. This guy's a really nice guy, got ripped off at his last place. He's a New York City fireman, great guy. Let me see if I can help the guy out. It upset my week, but I wanted to do it anyway. These guys, our service members and our fire departments and our police departments, you know, some of these guys, not all of them, some of them are D-bags, let's be honest. Let's be honest, some of these guys are D-bags, but a lot of them, and I would say the overwhelming majority of the police, firemen, and service members are just outstanding human beings and real professionals. And this particular gentleman happens to be one of those guys. I talked to him on the phone. He wasn't angered, you know, he needed help. And when you need help, I'm always gonna help you. So let's see what the other guys are doing this week, and we'll go from there. So we're over here by Joey, with Lucas. And as you see, I'm trying to call him over like, hey, we're trying to film. Anyway, Lucas is over here with a completely disassembled Golf R. Really cool cars. I like this car. I happen to like this car, you know, but it's typical German engineering. Anything you want to do on a German car, the nose always got to come off. It's just, it's crazy. Whether it's the older BMWs, these Golf Rs, same thing. This car, the customer brought us some parts. They're used parts. Whenever somebody brings me used parts, I always know it's not complete. We try to work with you. Some of these parts are great. Some of these parts stink. That's the alarm to push in cars. So we got to be, what, 5:45 already? Yeah. Man, just the days, just bang, bang, bang. It's just unbelievable. Well, anyway, we're doing what, an intercooler on this?
Intercooler, charge pipes. Yeah, fun stuff.
Fun stuff. So, you know, just to put an intercooler and charge pipes in this car. And what, some of the pipes don't fit, right? Some of the...
Yeah, you got some used charge pipes.
Right.
It doesn't look like they supplied us with the right couplers.
Couplers, okay. So we're going to... Yeah, we're going to make it work then. And then in the end, this will be on the dyno. And it will be tuned by Steve with the Cobb access port. So, you know, just another car. Doesn't matter if it's German. Doesn't matter if it's American. Doesn't matter if it's Japanese. It matters that you want to go fast. That's it. Okay, really cool. This is, I think, the first one we're actually doing of this nature. So really cool supercharger kit for, what is the BRZ FRS?
The 86.
Oh, A86. Okay, so on this 86 supercharger kit, road tracks, really cool setup. They make some really strong, compact superchargers that put out a lot of horsepower. Is this an HKS kit by any chance?
No.
No.
It's not.
So HKS made a couple of supercharger kits. I didn't know if this was...
It's a Jackson Racing.
Oh, Jackson Racing, Oscar Jackson. So story with Oscar Jackson goes back to if you can imagine this, my relationship with Jackson Racing literally goes back to 1986 when they were racing the Acura Integra for, I forgot what series, but Oscar was in there, and he was like one of the first people I called back in the 80s about doing performance import stuff. So, you know, it's so cool to see him still around and still doing stuff for the industry. So I would imagine this is a quality kit. Oscar's been around for a long time. I'm sure he's not going to put any garbage on there. I don't even know if he's still alive. God willing, he is. But the company lives on, and that's just a testament. If he is passed, and I hope he isn't, it's just a testament to what a great company he created. We got a little bit of a special thing. I wanted to do something different. But this ain't make-believe TV. This is real reality. When they talk about reality TV, you know it's not fucking reality, right? I mean, you got to be not in reality to believe that it's reality TV. So in this particular case, I wanted to kind of debut the 350Z in a different manner. I'm just not going to be able to do that. We're really constrained on time, both from the shop standpoint and also the racing standpoint. So at this point, I really just can't take this big, production of introducing the 2025 car. So we're just going to roll over to the dyno, and we're just going to show you what we've done with the car. Hey, Steve.
Hello.
So here she is. Come on in. Little different looking. It's not on there, but we put bead locks on here. Basically, this year, this is going to sound completely insane. It's going to sound completely insane to most people. But in the off season, we didn't touch the motor. We didn't touch the transmission. We just felt like everything going 174 miles an hour in its last pass was just a testament that this thing is running phenomenal. But what we really needed to focus on, and this car has never done a good job with it, is the 60-foot. This car weighed last year, full interior. The only part that wasn't a Nissan part in this car was the transmission. Other than that, original engine, original rear, all the original door panels on the car, AM, FM radio, stereo, antenna, power windows, power door locks, power mirrors, everything was in the car. The car weighed 3,440 pounds. That's what it weighed. It weighed actually 240 more pounds than factory. And you can attribute that to obviously the turbo kit, the front mount intercooler, the additional pipes for the turbo itself, the intercooler pipes, the transmission, and of course the roll cage. All of that actually added weight to the car. And it went phenomenal. We finished off the season with a career best in this car, not my career best, but in this car at an 838 at, again, 173.64. So that was 174 miles an hour. So we were able to get some side bomb product through turn 14. Great. If you're not hooked up with turn 14, do yourself a favor and get hooked up with them. They're just a phenomenal operation to work with. And they really help us out in creating good business, not only for us, but for our customers as well. So we were able to remove those doors, put the carbon doors on, put the carbon latch on, remove the front seat, this car still had the evaporator, still had the heater core, still had all the ABS computers in it, had all the ABS bags in, everywhere, dash bag and side bags. And we took it all out, and according, which I would have been happy with 200 pounds. So this car now weighs from 3,440, it now weighs 3,050. So a huge, huge thing, which has now motivated me incredibly to try to run for that 7 second. What's absolutely stopping me from doing that is my 60-foot. I can't, for the last few years, I can't really get this car to 60-foot. I've been working with Field suspension. It has gotten a lot better using their stuff. This year, I sent it back to them, and they made me double adjustable. So I have now rebound and dampening and compression on both sides. We added the wing. We added the roll, a thicker roll bar in the back. But what we also did was that we removed the subframe and re-stitched weld everything on the frame, and then put an additional aluminum plate on the frame where we would, as a frame brace, where we think the thing might be moving a little bit. We've done all of that. We're hoping, and this is insane, it's probably cost me probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about $15,000 to get all of this stuff done. I also want to shout out TJ from M&K Welding or M&K Welding, who took the car in and just did a phenomenal job, you know, fabricating the doors on, fabricating a new window net, fabricating the glass, putting on this beautiful wing, which they did a phenomenal job with this wing. Not only is it pretty cool looking, it fits absolutely perfectly. It's got little tethers here for the wind, and what's really cool is that it's adjustable. So I could take this duckbill and actually raise it or lower it depending on, you know, how good the track is. Track's real good, lower it down. Track's real shitty, pick it all up. So with that being said, we've done a tremendous amount of work to this car. Like I said, about $15,000 worth of work with the car. And here's the fucking insanity of it all. I'm hooking a 137. Terrible. I did that so maybe I could hook a 127. Literally a 1/10 of a second I'm looking for, because that'll double up. And with the weight, I'm thinking, and the wing, and a little bit more traction, and a little bit more tune up on the launch. That was another thing that we struggled with over the years, is the way the car used to launch on the two-step. You know, it used to go boom, 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 boom. It took us a little bit to figure that out, but we have figured it out, and believe me, it don't leave like that no more. So hopefully, adding all of those things together, we can have the first 7-second IRS, independent rear suspension, rear-wheel drive, any Nissan in the world going 7s with that setup, with an independent rear suspension setup. This car still runs a stock rear, which blows me away. So with that being said, we're gonna make a pull. We're gonna make sure everything's good. And then we're probably gonna start getting this thing loaded up and grabbing all the stuff that we need to go racing and get that going while Nanny, my wife, Christine, gets everything ready at the house. Food, supplies, clothing, everything we're gonna need, she brings. I bring the cars, she brings everything else. So without further ado, Steve's gonna jump into the non-seat that's there now. We're gonna make a pull, and we'll see how it goes. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Has made the poll. We're going to go ahead and we're going to show you our new launch map. So listen to this. Nice, huh? That's much nicer than last year. All right, 1,077, we know we're slipping the tire, but that's gonna be good enough for us to get, that's usually where, this thing just tops out. So right now, it's exactly like it was doing last year. I think we're set. I know we got a lot of smoke, but that was like the first pull on the car. So I'm not too over concerned about that. So I think we're ready. I wouldn't change a thing right now, so I think we're good. We're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna look for that 7-second quarter mile, and if we do, I'll tell you one thing, it'll be a knockout.